Good welcome, good morning, good welcome. I'm Gary Williams. Welcome inside our studios on this Wednesday. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. You can also listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network. Very much looking forward to this morning because our aspiration when we started the show was, you know what, let's have thought leaders. We're going to have that today. And of course, our program presented by Century Insurance, right by you. And of course, our 3 North Carolina-based companies, Pinehurst Resort. There is always a good reason to be in Pinehurst. Peter Millar, the platinum standard in apparel globally, and Golf Pride. Players at every level trust Golf Pride more than any grip in the world. When I mention thought leaders, Gil Hanse, Lucas Glover, they do 2 very different things in the game of golf. One plays at the highest level, the other builds holes at the highest level around the world. And I'll give you a little history lesson. Early on, when the Wachovia Championship, later the Wells Fargo Championship, now it is the Truist Championship, was born in 2003, I was doing local radio in this market in Charlotte, North Carolina, covering all sports, but having a background in golf, being a club professional. Look, I wanted to talk about golf. I was thrilled that they were going to have a professional event in this city. And it quickly became one of the best events on the PGA Tour. But it's not like I was going to get Tiger, which he came in year 2, or Phil, and he came immediately. And they were very loyal to the event. So I had to, with the tournament director, Kim Huffam, identify who are some young guys that may be willing to do some local radio. Well, Lucas Glover had gone to Clemson University. He was fully exempt on the PGA Tour for the first time in 2004. And oh, by the way, he finished tied for 10th that year. So he was on, and I'm thinking, my gosh, this guy's really interesting. He's really thoughtful. And I remember talking to one of his college teammates, Charles Warren, who was also a great amateur player, played on the PGA Tour, and Charles said, no, Lucas is different. He actually reads. Yes, and he still does. Reads a lot of books. If you've listened to Lucas over the last couple of years, and he, by the way, is having a renaissance at 45 years of age, having won those 2 events a couple of years ago that put him on the doorstep of maybe being on the United States Ryder Cup team. If you listened to his radio show on SiriusXM's PGA Tour Radio last night, you heard someone going, my gosh, well, he ain't afraid to share his thoughts. Well, he's going to join me about the bottom of the hour to talk about the things that he expressed on his radio show, but some of the other things that he has shared about some of the misgivings he has about the direction of some of the things going on the PGA Tour. No, by the way, he's coming off a tie for 3rd at Pebble Beach. He is in the field this week at the WM Phoenix Open, so he's going to join me. And then there's Gil Hanse, and Gil has lent his name to this platform since we started. And he has contributed. We've done a couple of shows. He and I and Jay Billis put together a little mashup to have some people join us like Jim Nance and Joe Buck. And he makes his picks every week. He's not doing well because he's a little busy building golf courses all over the world. But where I grew up at Ridgewood Country Club, in Ridgewood, not in Ridgewood, it's actually in Paramus, New Jersey, when he laid out his own shingle in 1993, it wasn't long after that that Ridgewood Country Club, one of the great clubs and 27-hole complexes in the world, commissioned him to come in and do a restoration methodically of that A.W. Tillinghast golf course. And so I was familiar with him at really the beginning of his career. And then he really exploded when he was commissioned to design and build the Olympic golf course in Rio. And over the last 10 years, there is nobody who has been asked or entrusted more to do more with some of the most important golf courses that already exist, not to mention the plethora of his original work as well. So where is the state of the design industry in golf? He's going to join me in just a little bit. But it wasn't long after we went off the air yesterday that it was announced that Tida Woods, the mom to Tiger Woods, had passed away. And here's the thing about stories like that, because everybody who plays professional golf, everybody who pursues a professional sport, I hope has the foundation of parents in their lives that made all the sacrifices that they did to give them the best chance to ascend to whatever level they did. Where Earl Woods was very much out front and was the guy who kind of had the bravado and got the platform and was unafraid to share his thoughts about what Tiger could be, what he was going to be. It was Tida who stood back with that steely resolve. And that steely resolve was something that she passed on to her son. And for all of the times that we saw Tiger doing those extraordinary things, there she stood. Not often, but importantly, at the most important times there, showing a presence of balance. And you know, when you're around somebody, and I never professed to be around Tiger a lot, was around him enough, covering him for a lot of the years where he was doing amazing things. He is a golfing genius. He is the definition of what it is. And genius can be complicated. And there's a complicated component to his life and the way that he has gone about kind of restructuring, rebuilding, renewing what it was, which was his pursuit of greatness at a level we had never seen before. And what she was the whole time, and this has been proven by people who were around that enough, that she was the balance in his life. You know, when you hang things, you use that level, and you want to get that bubble between those two lines, and you go, okay, it's level. That's what she was. So for all of the times, whether it was publicly or privately, that you thought maybe there was turbulence in his life, she provided the equilibrium. And so our thoughts, our prayers, our condolences go out to Tiger and his entire family. And I will end with this one thought personally. When my dad passed away at 75, I'm not an inherently selfish person. And I certainly wanted him for more in my life, as I was in my mid-40s at the time. And so Tiger is 49, and obviously he wanted more of his mom in his life. But I think about Sam and Charlie because I know that he wanted more of her in their lives. So our thoughts go out to the entire Woods family at a very difficult time with the passing of Tida Woods. We take a break now. When we continue, Gil Hanse will join me. We'll get his thoughts on where the design industry is, because a lot of people believe that this is another golden age of development and construction of great golf courses, not only in the United States, but around the world. And Lucas Glover will join me as well. We've got our picks on this Wednesday. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel, and you can listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. It's 8 minutes past the hour. Back with Gil Hanse right after this. It is 11 minutes past the hour. Where is he? Well, we have finally caught up with him. It's good to have you with us on this Wednesday. This segment brought to you by Pinehurst. How appropriate, because he has his fingerprints all over that place, Pinehurst number 4, when they said, you know, we need to do something different. We need to restore it, redo it, renovate it. It was Gil Hanse and his great team with Jim Wagner and the Caveman who came in and did what they did to Pinehurst number 4. And there's always a good reason to be at Pinehurst. And it's the first time when we started the program, we said, you know, we want to have range. We want to be broad. We want to go everywhere. It's the first time we've been able to go to Venus. He joins us now. Gil Hanse from Venus, Florida, will explain why he's there. Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're going to get to this project, of which there are many you guys have got your hands in. This time right now, at 2025, as we start this year, look, you're very busy. And I know you're very happy that a lot of people in the design industry are very, very busy. What has changed the most in your mind over the last 10 years with the design industry?
Well, I think there's two things. I mean, the practical aspect of it is sort of this laser technology that exists that allows us now to recreate, reestablish greens, like rebuild the greens at Marion or Winged Foot, et cetera, and put them back within a millimeter of what they used to be. So I think having that technology has opened up a broad spectrum of the work that we can do from a restoration standpoint. Also, I'm sitting in a bulldozer now that has the technology that used to be that you knew in your seat, as they say, what 4% felt like, what 2% felt like, what 1% felt like as you were shaping. And now the computer in front of you actually tells you that you're sitting at 3% or 4%. So from a practical standpoint, all that stuff has just made it easier and maybe to a certain degree cheating when it comes to running a bulldozer. But I think in the industry, COVID has proven to be sustainable, lasting, the impact it's had on golf, the COVID boom. And so what we're seeing is very opportunity to go ahead and get to the place where we can have them show their talents. I mean, you're seeing guys that have worked for Corin Crenshaw, Tom Doak for us, Kyle Franz, Brian Schneider, Blake Conan. Those guys are building golf courses and showing their ability to do that. And I think there was a period of time where really weren't many opportunities for guys. So I think we've got that opportunity now for a younger and talented, Kai Golby, guys who are coming along can build these golf courses and are getting opportunities, which is great.
It is great. And you mentioned all these guys, and the talent level seems to be rising on an annual basis. You mentioned places like Marion and Wingfoot. And look, as I said, your team has been entrusted to do work on more of these places than really anybody over the last decade. And you're a very sensible person. You're very pragmatic. How do you exercise your pragmatism when it comes to what those greens look like when they were built and what green speeds are being asked of by memberships now? And look, 40 years ago, no greens were rolling 10. Now, if they're not rolling 10, you know what happens to superintendents. How do you balance all that?
Well, we certainly still look at keeping the integrity, the architectural integrity intact. We are very, very hesitant to make any alterations, certainly significant ones to greens. We think this laser technology allows us to make minor tweaks, in the 1 inch to switch a grade from 4%, which was pinnable a long time ago, now down to 3 1/4. And so, but that's still, given modern putting speeds, still on the extreme end of the spectrum. And so we feel like with just very, very minor tweaks, we can still keep the integrity of the greens, still keep the challenge of the greens, yet still provide opportunities for superintendents to find hole locations and to move play around. Because when you have greens that are significantly limited as it relates to hole locations, the traffic starts to wear and you create situations where they become problematic for the superintendent as well as problematic for play.
I want to ask you about a couple of projects. One of them is Spanish Bay. The best players in the world were just at Pebble Beach. And that is as valuable a real estate. The entire area is really, you could argue, anywhere in this country, maybe in the world. Give people an update on that project, because again, I know how excited you and Jim and the team are about getting to work on that. When will that commence?
We're looking at a March 26, so just a little over a year from now. We'll be in the ground out there. We recently received some really good news as it relates to the Coastal Commission. I know our entire team, Russ Myers, Kevin Murphy, Jim, and I are working really hard on trying to be as sensitive as we can to the environmental restrictions on site and to have cleared that hurdle along with the Pebble Beach Company. We're really excited that we've got the green light to get moving forward. So now we're just sort of in the planning, practical stages of how do we build this, who's going to build it with us, and how does it all come together. But you're right. I mean, we're over the moon with that opportunity. I don't know that opportunity on the Pacific Ocean in California ever comes up again. And so to have that canvas to work on and try to create something truly special, we're very excited about, as well as obviously the relationship with the Pebble Beach Company is the gold standard as it relates to golf.
Gil, this past summer, I made a point of driving from South Bend, Indiana to northern Michigan. I love the state of Michigan, and the farther you go, the more enthralled I became with it. The news this past week that you guys are going to do a golf course at Forest Dunes. Give everybody an idea of what the creation is going to look like. Just visualize for us when you're going to get started and what you envision that's going to be.
Yeah, it's in the pipeline. We're not quite sure on a start date yet, but it was just announced. It was with Tom Sonderborg and Rich Mack, the owners, and be great to work with those guys again. They're obviously both very involved at Stream Songs,
Yep.
so it's a chance for us to work with those guys, put the band back together, as Rich likes to say. And the site's terrific. Obviously, Forest Dunes got the original Weiskopf course, and then Tom Doak did an amazing job creating the Loop, the reversible golf course, and we're just to the north of the Loop. And I think probably the most interesting topography on the property. So our goal is to build something a little bit different, kind of harkening back to our days at Boston Golf Club, maybe a little bit of lay board where it's more of a tree-lined golf course, a little more compact in scale. Today golf architecture is primarily big, big, big. This is going to feel like it sits in a really nice landscape with trees around the golf holes. Maybe not 50, 60-yard wide fairways, maybe 35, 40 yards. So I think it'll feel a little bit more traditional in its trappings, but it's a great opportunity. I obviously started my career working for Tom Doak in northern Michigan at High Point with a shovel and a rake in my hand. So it'll be nice to be back in that neighborhood with a great opportunity.
You were in Venus, Florida. People want to go, where is that? I could say it's in the middle, and I don't think I would be wrong. Explain, High Grove is a project, obviously you're on site. Give everybody an idea of what this project is, and then I want to ask you a bigger picture about what is happening in the state of Florida.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle where if you go to Port St. Lucie or Fort Myers, and if you drive west from Port St. Lucie or east from Fort Myers, you'll come across Venus, and it's on the sand ridge, same sand ridge, the Lake Wales sand ridge that Mountain Lake is on. It's an amazing piece of property. You would never really think that this exists in Florida. We've got 70 feet of elevation change, really just sort of rumpled, corrugated landscape and covered with orange trees. So we're incorporating not only the beauty of the land and the landforms, but having citrus along the edge of every hole is a different. We have citrus at Ladera, but it's more on the periphery. So here it's an integral part of the golf hole. So I think from a unique standpoint, it's a landscape we've never encountered before. And I think private club, great opportunity to work with the guys here. I mean, Jim and Neil, Kevin and Brett and Steve and Cameron. We got a whole team here, really. Everybody's doing a great job getting it across the goal line. So I think we're excited about what we've got, and I think people will be very pleasantly surprised by what they see when this place debuts.
Gil, the state of Florida, people look, value rankings any way you want, what they were 10 years ago. I can't wait to see what they are 10 years from now. You just completed recently Kinsale. I haven't been there yet, but my understanding, a little bit more intimate setting. And then Apogee, which I have been there. That's a big project. Ultimately, it's going to be 54 holes. So look, you've got two that you just completed in the state. You're working on a third right now. What exactly is happening in the state of Florida?
Well, I think it's again part of the sort of the whole COVID phenomenon where people came down here to escape certain parts of the country, and they decided to stay. And I think if you look at golf development in Florida, there was a boom period in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then it lay dormant for a little while, and they're almost playing catch up with the amount of people that have moved down here, obviously for the weather and tax situation for some people. So I think it's one of those deals where the development is now catching up with the demand. If you're anywhere in the area where Apogee is, you can't get into a private club there. We're also very, very proud of the park, our
Yes.
public municipal golf course in West Palm
Forgot to
Beach.
mention
So
that.
that one is special not only because of the job we did, I believe, but also the way it's changing lives, the things it's doing in the community,
Yes.
and the opportunities that exist from a municipal standpoint. And then Kinsale over in Naples, same thing. It's hard to get into a golf club over there, and I think Jim and the team did a great job. I mean, I was in and out, but I was in Australia a lot last year, and I think they took a very small, and you said intimate, property and turned it into one of the most fun places to play golf with, some inspiration from Raynor McDonald, but also a lot of Jim's unique takes on their designs. And everything I'm hearing is people are just absolutely loving it. And it's One of the things which I love about these is it's just golf. We're very fortunate to be involved in just golf-related developments. There's no real estate with Apogee or Kinsale. There's no real estate with Highgrove. So when you can be involved in projects that are golf-centric, that's always a great thing.
No doubt about it. We will reveal your pick for this week later. You've gotten off to a sluggish start because you're playing in the dirt every day. Good luck to your Eagles. I don't mean that. So happy you wore the hat today. Good grief. Have a great day, my friend. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely enjoyed it. Go Birds.
There we go. There is Gil Hanse playing in the dirt in Venus. Why wouldn't he? All right, we take a break. When we continue Club 5, we open up the club on a Wednesday, plus Lucas Glover joining me at the bottom of the hour. We're back on 5 Clubs right after this. It is 27 minutes past hour. Great to have you with us. This is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel, and you can also listen on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. In this segment brought to you by Peter Millar, iconic style with modern function. Anything you need, whether it's from the boardroom to a ball game, it is Peter Millar. They've got you covered. All right, every Wednesday we open up the club, Club 5, which is kind of a combination of power rankings and a heat index, because we don't want to have the elongated kind of divisor of a world ranking. We want something that's more condensed, more about like who's hot right now. So let's get to Club 5, and of course at the end of the year, someone who is going to win a very stylish Peter Millar sport coat emblazoned with the 5 Club logo. Who doesn't want that for the holiday parties? Tyrrell Hatton, you see him there at number 5. He won in Dubai. Consider he played a lot of events in the fall on the DP World Tour. He also won the Dunhill Links. Liv starts their season this year. You can value performance there any way you want. The point is, this guy is one of the 5 best players in the world, I believe, right now. Number 4, first time for him in the club, and that is Sepp Straka. Sepp won the American Express. He was the 54-hole leader at Pebble Beach. I know that he didn't have a great final round, but still a tie for 7th. His worst result on the PGA Tour this year is a tie for 30th. And he is already off to a great start to be on another European Ryder Cup team. Weighing in at number 3 is Hideki Matsuyama. Now, Hideki won the Century Tournament of Champions. The interesting thing about him is that his results since then have gone precipitously in the wrong direction. And if he doesn't play well at a place where he's played always exceptionally well, and that is in Phoenix, and he could find himself out of the club next week, but currently still at number 3. Number 2 is Rory McIlroy. Rory, not only did he win at Pebble Beach, he did it in such a stylistic, kind of emphatic way, because he was kind of a never in doubt on the inward 9. He's not in the field this week. He's back next week at Torrey Pines. And considering he finished 4th in Dubai to start the year, he's number 2. And number 1, look, I said it's going to be hard to supplant Scottie Scheffler because he resides in the top 10 whenever he plays. He hadn't played since the Hero, which was the middle of December, suffered a freak injury right around Christmas, has to delay the start of his season, and he shows up and finishes tied for 9th at Pebble Beach. And he was first in strokes gained approach. So all the things that you are accustomed to him being great at, he was great at. And he had a reasonably good putting week. And he goes back to a place this week where he's won twice in Phoenix. Like I said, it's going to be hard to supplant him in the Club 5 standings. But again, this is not something where we're looking at, well, where is Xander Schauffele? Well, I mean, he really hadn't played this season. And we're looking forward to him getting back in the mix. So you can see the Club 5 standings is more of a heat index. All right, it is the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick break when we continue. Lucas Glover, he's got his own radio show on the PGA Tour Radio Network. If you listened last night, you listened to a guy who's got thoughts and opinions. He's always had thoughts and opinions. He joins me next, right here on 5 Clubs on Golf Channel and on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. Back with him right after this. Welcome back in. 34 minutes past the hour. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. And this segment brought to you by Golf Pride. Players at every level trust Golf Pride as the #1 grip in the world. And the Align Max, I know that Harris English used those a couple of weeks ago. I've had them for a couple months. They're going to be available to the public in the next week. It's the best grip that I have ever used. Somebody who grips it very, very well. And you know what? He feels it better than anybody because he's never used a glove. And that is a 6-time winner on the PGA Tour, the 2009 U.S. Open champion, the host of his own radio show on PGA Tour Radio Network. You heard it last night. I hope you did. That, of course, is Lucas Glover joining us from Phoenix. He begins another week tomorrow at the WM Phoenix Open. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Gary. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for doing this, getting up early out there. I know it's a pro-am day. Before we get to some things that you've been willing to chat about, let me ask you about your state, because I remember you were kind enough to join me 2 years ago almost, Wells Fargo Week, which is now Truist Week. We were talking about, breadth of career, and you're like, look, I'm motivated to be competitive, to be relevant, deep into my 40s. You're 45. State of your game. Off a good week.
Yeah, good.
How do you feel?
Yeah. I feel good. Last week was very good, very positive. I hit it okay for 3 days, putted beautifully, and then hit it great Sunday, and just putted okay. But 18 under that week for me is really good, because I usually don't fare that well at Pebble Beach. But Rory when he's on and Shane when he's on are hard to catch and hard to beat, but very happy with the way I played.
Lucas, you mentioned Rory and Shane. You look at the first page of that leaderboard. I said it Monday, the most interesting fights are when you have a lot of style differences. And Pebble, I think, accentuates that. I know you can't change the schedule, but a lot of people have talked about, what ills the PGA Tour. Places like that, I think, are the best thing for your tour because it doesn't discriminate. It's not biased against one or the other. Is that fair?
It is very fair, very fair. That's a great point. Great courses don't seem to care. They just reward good golf shots and good play. I think with the size of golf courses and the size of courses that we need and have to have for tents, for fans, for grandstands, it makes the old classics harder to get to, and I think that's good and bad. I think it's a good thing because it shows that we need room for all those things I mentioned, but it's bad because of what you just said, is that we don't get as many of the old classics that are just golf. So I totally agree with that. Yeah, and you're exactly right. Style makes fights, and Pebble doesn't care. Harbortown doesn't care. Augusta National doesn't care. You hit good shots, you get rewarded, and that's how it should be.
You have been willing to share your thoughts about some of the decisions that have been made, over the last couple of years on the PGA Tour. I want to get to something as it relates to the idea of trying to curb or address slow play, and it was the idea of size of fields. And I know you felt like I do, like, come on, let's be honest about why we're reducing size of fields. But can a field size have any impact on pace of play?
Yeah, it can. It can, but we still need to do things that will speed up just the PGA Tour player. Yes, it will help. It's just space and daylight, basically. But there still needs to be measures taken for the brand and for the entertainment value, so it's not fans and TV viewers watching us, stand by our ball and wait. I think that's the biggest issue. Is it's getting boring for a lot of people, including the players, especially the fast players. It's getting frustrating, but those things I listed last week on my show and a little bit last night on my show, it wasn't picking out any individual. It wasn't picking out any person that does a certain thing. It was just an overall statement of, here's some things I think we could do. I've been catching a little grief the last couple of days from some of my peers and about aim point. Yeah. Some of them do it very fast and very well, and that's great. But as an overall thing, those were just suggestions. I wasn't trying to single anybody out or anything like that. There are guys that do it quick, and read greens quicker doing it that way. But overall, the guys that don't do it fast, it's really painful. And we got enough people walking up around the hole and around each other's lines, and it can get a little frustrating watching people, walk around the hole, stand there near your line or sometimes through your line. So that's where those thoughts came from for me. It was just some suggestions, not singling anybody out. Never want to do that. But to answer your original question, yeah, field size won't matter that much. The players have to speed up.
Lucas, one of the things you also said was, okay, if we do something where if you really want to get people to get on with it, the idea of popping them a shot is something that's been kicked around a lot. You're the first person who said, what about FedEx Cup points? And I know that you said, you heard somebody else share that thought, but that to me is the best opinion, the most informed opinion. You let it marinate in your mind. You thought, okay, how would you legislate that? The idea of the penalty being points, which, as you know as well as anybody, they're the most precious thing.
Yeah, we've moved away from the money list being the biggest thing that qualifies you for things that year or the next year. Now it's all FedEx Cup points, and rightly so, with FedEx's investment and sponsorship and partnership with the tour, and so that's how it should be. I don't know the number. I don't know that. And again, this was just a couple people mentioned it to me and texted it to me. Or what about this? What about that? And that's the one that really stuck out, is because that's how we're measured now. It's not the money list anymore. It's the FedEx Cup points, and that can hurt. The money doesn't hurt. I mean, the fines and stuff, as hard as it is to say, it doesn't hurt anybody because we play for so much. And I mean, years ago, guys used to budget the fines at the end of the year. They just would budget it in to their expenses. That's a shame. But I don't know the number. I don't know if it's 1 point per bad time. I don't know if it's 100. I don't know that answer. But again, these are just a guy with a new radio show throwing some stuff out there and making suggestions that I think could help. It's my opinion, and that one was like I said yesterday. I gave credit. Rob Waters from Strixon. He's been beating that drum for months, and never thought about it as hard as I did in the last week or so. But that one hit, and I think that could spur some guys on. As there's an actual consequence to being slow and holding up guys behind you, and making it tough on your playing partners. And I just think it could help everybody.
The thoughts of Rory McIlroy before the tournament last week about scarcity, about how, if you want the heart to grow fonder, go away for a while. And I get the premise, but Lucas, at a time where the workforce is shrinking, I mean, that's what's going to happen. Now we're going to 100. And now the idea of less job sites, so to speak, like less events. There are more guys who can do this than ever before. You know that. Is that the answer?
I don't know. I know my opinion on it, and it's been well stated. Is I don't see how you can have more competition with less people. I've said this over and over. Every other sport has expanded their playoffs, have expanded their seasons, and that's more competition. On the PGA Tour, in the world ranking, from 50 to 750, there's not that much difference. The players are so good and so deep across the world, and especially on this tour, that I can't see how anybody could say having 25 less guys a week is going to breed more competition. That doesn't add up to me. So I disagree respectfully with Rory on that. I disagree respectfully with the tour on that. And I'm happy to continue to beat that drum for my fellow players that agree with me, because I don't get it. And to hide behind pace of play for it, when we haven't done the things that have needed to be done to try and speed up before we cut 25 cards, it doesn't make sense to me. Rory has said he doesn't want to play as much. He played a ton last year to support both tours,
Yep.
get TGL off the ground. I know that man's tired, and he can do whatever he wants. That's his right. Um, if you talk about scarcity and everybody wants to be the NFL in sports, they never go away. Every couple of weeks, they have something else in the off season, whether it's mini camps, the draft, the start of
OTAs.
the start of OTAs. They have something going on to capture their fan and other fans all the time throughout their off season, much less their in season. So, yeah, like I said, I respectfully disagree with Rory on that. I respectfully disagree with our decision makers on that. And the PGA Tour is an entertainment business, but it's also to provide their membership with the most opportunities, and to cut 25 jobs because we can't play fast enough seems short-sighted to me.
The Signature Series, look, there's probably no event on tour that can survive and thrive being in a signature sandwich. And I'm talking about Phoenix. Signature Series event before, you got one following. And then you got one before the PGA, you got one right after the Masters. Would you tweak the cadence of delivery of this series going forward?
I wish I could tweak it to where they didn't exist, to be honest with you. I'm on record as saying I disagree with them, but I'm also not dumb. I have to play in them because, that's where the most world ranking points are and the most value is if you play well. This field is not what it once was, and that's because of the signature events. That I don't know what they thought was going to happen when they made this series of events and scheduled it the way they did around and for the majors. The other tournaments are going to suffer with their fields, and that was just kind of common sense, in my opinion. And another reason that I disagreed with it a couple years ago when this was, on the block for voting and all that stuff. And, I vehemently opposed it then. But we're seeing it. Other fields are suffering. I can't imagine a lot of the sponsors are very happy. But, we made our bed in this one.
All right, let me get you out of here with 5 to go. Touch into some areas I know you love. Let's start with this. A living author you'd like to have a meal with?
Daniel Silva.
Excellent.
Daniel Silva. Yeah, former CNN correspondent. I love his writing, love his main character, Gabriel Alon. I read every one of his books within the week they come out. I just find it fascinating. And my mother and I have that in common. If she beats me to it, she'll pass it on, and same for me. So he's our favorite fiction author for sure.
Excellent. All right, the course you either already have on the docket to play or one that's hanging out there, because I know how you are. I know you went out to Chicago, you did Shore Acres and Chicago Golf a couple falls ago. Is there one that you've got that you're going to do before the end of the year?
Not before the end of the year, but got a couple in the Midwest that I want to hit. That Nebraska Sand Hills area, is definitely up there. Just heard so much about it, and I think there's a new Dormy Club out there now. I got a friend
Gray Bull
that works with them. Yep, Gray Bull, and he's been talking it up. Jeff Somonsato. So been hearing a lot about that one, and obviously Sand Hills there. So I want to get out there at some point. Just a type of golf I've never played. So
you'll love it. It's cathartic. All right, your favorite street or landmark in New York City?
Probably just Central Park as a whole. I think it just with all the hustle and bustle, just there's a serenity there. And last time we were there, we took the kids to the zoo, and it's almost like you're not even in the city. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing. All right, the road game you want Clemson to play that you would attend?
At Notre Dame again. I've missed the last couple times I've not been to Notre Dame.
The COVID game was amazing.
Yeah.
There was nobody there, but it was amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. So the only time I would have been able to go, I couldn't go. So, just I've been to a lot of the other stadiums and campuses, but in all my travels, I've yet to even see that campus and be at a game there. So I'd love to do that.
All right, last thing, the most well-read player on tour that's not you.
Maverick McNeely, probably.
Good answer.
Yeah, he's an intelligent, understated young man, and his ideas and his wisdom are starting to come out a little bit, and the point system and all that stuff has been documented, and they're starting to listen. He's a smart kid.
Listen, thank you for taking the time. Have a good week. Look forward to seeing you soon enough.
Thanks, Gary. Good seeing you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Lucas Glover, his show, The Lucas Glover Show on Sirius XM. We're back with our picks of the week right after this. It is 53 minutes past the hour. It's a Wednesday. It's our final show of the week, and we always give you our selections, the team selections. This segment being brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. Let's take a look at the standings for our staff through now 5 events on the PGA Tour. Gil would be having a good year if this was money accrued in 1975, not 2025. Mercy. Nobody has picked a winner yet. Emma has nudged out in front of me. With that, let's take a look at who we like this week at the WM Phoenix Open. I think a winner is on this board. I really believe that. Sun GM, who I have got. The only reason I hedge is because when 3 people pick the same guy, that's called the idiot trifecta around here. That means they have no chance of winning. Gil and Brendan Young take Hideki Matsuyama. Taylor plays chalk. Scotty Scheffler, and Emma Carpenter goes with Tom Kim. Those are our picks of the week. The winner is on that board. I absolutely believe that. All right, we come back with our favorite segment of the week, the greatest creatures on earth. Dogs of the week, right here on 5 Clubs. Back after this. It is the final couple minutes for us this week here on 5 Clubs, and as you can see, it's time to celebrate the greatest thing in all of our lives, and that, of course, are dogs. If you want to contribute a dog that has got some relation to the game of golf, send it to us, the photos and a little bio, dogs@5clubsgolf.com. I can promise you, we have so many dogs already, and look, we'll make it the whole show if we have to, because we're getting them in, a lot of them every day. Again, dogs@5clubsgolf.com. Send the picture and a little bio. So, who are the dogs of the week? Let's take a look at who we have. Let's start. That's Chad Allen, the golf course superintendent at the club at Chatham Hills in Westfield, Indiana. His dog is Tug, a 3-year-old Australian cattle dog. It's been featured in a USGA calendar. Yes, Tug. And how about, that is Nathan Ballman from Cultus Lake Golf Club in British Columbia, Canada. That's Layla, a 6-year-old border collie. Been at the golf club since she was 6 weeks old. That is Violet at McGregor Downs Country Club in Cary, North Carolina with Stu McDonald, 7-year-old Golden Doodle. How good is that? And that is a 4-time winner on the PGA Tour and PGA Tour champion Steve Flesh and his dog Enzo. Enzo, he calls his swing coach. How good is that? Those are the dogs of the week. And again, if you have a dog that is a part of your life, that is around a golf club, goes with you to the club, send it to us, dogs@5clubsgolf.com. Hope you enjoy the golf this week at the WM Phoenix Open. And of course, the Super Bowl is Sunday. Coming up next week, Taylor Zarza will be with me in studio. It's Tiger's event at Torrey Pines. He's going to speak to the media. There's always a lot around his thoughts and that conversation. And a great young golf course designer with me in studio. For all of us here on 5 Clubs, have a great rest of the week. We'll see you Monday.